Okay, Rashmi, bringing you in on that note, do you agree with that assessment that somewhere, yes, we do see a lot of countries and their leaders now coming out and speaking about India, that it's a growing economy, that it's a force to be reckoned with, but somewhere internally, do the communities largely struggle to understand the concept of what good migration can do to their economies? And why do you think that all these hate crimes continue to be on the rise, even in previously peaceful places like Australia? I don't necessarily remember talking about Australia or hate crimes in Australia before, say, 3 to 4 years.
Well, Devika, I definitely feel that these hate crimes and the incidents that we are currently seeing on the rise are political statements. It's a way for citizens of those countries who are dismayed by their own um, conditions, which is their own doing, lack of hard work and focus in formative years, something that the immigrants, the good immigrants, especially from India and other countries like China, seem to contribute to that economy, and they don't do that during their formative years. And now that they find themselves at a disparity at a despair at a level of disparity with these good immigrants, they then try to turn that sort of disparity into violence so that they can somehow justify why they are being disadvantaged in their own society. So I think it's a very bad psychology, which is continuing unabated because of lack of support from maybe governments in these countries to the immigrants. They were often, these incidents happened in the past as well. I mean, you had those very infamous dot busters in New Jersey area who went after Indians with a bindi or tilak on their forehead, and they would just hack them, hack their heads. So very violent sort of retaliation to the good immigrants in America in the late 1900s. And but a lot of this did not come to the forefront, was not in the spotlight because India back then was not considered very seriously by world leaders. Today, I think the fact that these incidents are being focused, are coming to the forefront, and there's a lot of spotlight and discussion and a lot of outrage on the matter is because India's become a very formidable force on the economic front. I think it's always the survival of the fittest, and the fitter India becomes, more protection do Indians abroad have. And it can be seen in the way that Indians were repatriated, be it during the war in Israel or other, parts in the Middle East. There was always a sort of provision made by either warring sides to sort of facilitate an Indian repatriation. So we can see that there's a lot more improvement as compared to the past when such incidents wouldn't even be considered newsworthy to now it being newsworthy and there being considerable amount of outrage and Indian government taking certain steps which are being considered very seriously by these economies. I think the future lies in India strengthening its space geopolitically, economically, and that will bring in more protection in the days to come. Although it doesn't take away from the fact that the current incidents are absolutely heartbreaking, unfair, and feels very unjust to be on the receiving end of it. I myself, as a student in England, had to face a lot of similar racially motivated attacks just because I was elected president of the students of a very prestigious students' union in a white country. And that was somehow, indigestible to a lot of people because they simply human nature is that they do not want to acknowledge their shortcomings, and failure is often attributed to an external force, and that external force just happens to be hardworking Indians in this case. So I think the only way this can be resolved is if Indians come from a position of power, be it politically, economically, and how they use that to socially organize themselves in different societies. And I see a lot of that happening. The Indian community is extremely powerful in many circles, including certain circles in America, where they have become a donor class to major political parties. Um, as you know, in line with how the Jewish communities organized themselves in the past, the Australian Indian community is also a very big part of the growing sort of influence within the country. You have a lot of people in the parliament running for different offices. And I hope that the future will see more representation and more sort of provisions made so that Indians are safer in the future than in the past.